Welcome to the video. You're listening to Phil of Phil B Gaming. Continuing where we left off, today we're taking a look at one more fact from every main mission in the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. This may be secret scenes, hidden dialogue, characters that some may have missed, or gameplay features that you might not have realised. You may know some of these, you may know all of these, or everything might be entirely new to you. If you enjoy what you see, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and share with friends and family or anyone you may feel would be interested in content such as this. If there are any facts about the missions that you feel some players may not be aware of, feel free to let us know in the comment section provided. In the past on this channel, I created a much larger video detailing the facts from each mission, which you can find linked below. And today's content is a follow-up to the original, showing you different ones. Please be aware there will be spoilers ahead for the game. With that being said, I hope you all enjoy, and let's get into what we came here to see. Red Dead Redemption 2, one more fact from every mission, Chapter 2 Edition. Polite Society, Valentine Style. Arthur wants to go out exploring the local town of Valentine, so he wakes the lazy uncle up, who's dozing upon a cart. After somewhat scolding him, Mary Beth, Tilly and Karen enter the conversation, asking to tag along as they are still bored out of their minds. The party of 5 head into town to do a little shopping and see if there are some fools that they can rob. A couple of the girls land themselves in a spot of trouble, but luckily Arthur is there to save the day. After confronting a man who recognises them from Blackwater, Uncle takes the girls back to camp, realising that they are a little too exposed after the ferry heist. A small detail in his mission is at the very start, and it's something that some people may not have noticed. When triggering the mission by waking Uncle, depending on Arthur's proximity to the sleeping oaf, a slightly different opening scene will play out. One where he shouts to wake him, and the other where he kicks him. Let me quickly show you both.
Hey! Careful not to work yourself to death there, Uncle.
I was thinking.
Yeah, does it pay well?
Oh, eventually. Ow! Oh!
Careful not to work yourself to death there, Uncle.
I was thinking.
Exit, pursued by a bruised ego. Hosea Matthews needs a little break from camp, so he decides to go hunting. At some point, when out on his travels, he spotted a huge grizzly bear near the Dakota River. Due to the animal's sheer size, he requests Arthur's assistance in taking down the beast. Needing a little break himself, Arthur happily tags along. After first visiting the Valentine stables, the pair head north in search of their prey. Unfortunately for the duo, instead of them finding the bear finds them. After quickly putting a round or two into the animal, it scurries away. Hosea decides to head back to camp after this frightening ordeal, and asks Arthur if he wishes to join him in his travels or stay behind to hunt the bear. Choosing to stay or choosing to leave will lead to two different interactions. If the player decides to return with Hosea, he will inform Arthur that he'll later be heading to Emerald Ranch to scope out a lead. But if the player decides to stay in the area and return to camp later, Hosea will have already left without mentioning about the ranch, and Miss Grimshaw will inform Arthur to meet Hosea at the ranch instead.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes, Miss Grimshaw.
Mr. Matthews gave me a message for you. He said when it was convenient to head into Emerald Ranch. He's looking at a few business things there.
Okay.
Oh, he'll find something too. He always does. Will you be well now, Mr. Morgan?
I'm always well, Miss Grimshaw.
Well, thanks, Arthur. I probably owe you one.
Don't worry about it.
I need to head out to Emerald Ranch soon, look into something.
See you later.
Americans at rest. Just after arriving at Horseshoe, Hosea informed Arthur that Javier, Bill, and Charles had headed into Valentine and to join them when he could. In doing so, Arthur will find himself at the Smithfield Saloon on the main strip in town. A short scene will play out where Javier and Charles are trying to entice a couple of female workers before Bill walks in and starts a fight with a patron. Pretty quickly, the entire saloon is brawling with one another, eventually leading to a battle between Arthur and the local named Tommy out in the street. In the previous video I mentioned earlier, the first facts about every mission video, I told of how when Charles throws a chair at the beginning of the fight, it wasn't his actor, Noshir Dalal, who provided the motion capture for that moment. It was actually performed by Benjamin Byron Davis, the actor behind Dutch. Interestingly enough, Charles in the scene was actually performed by 3 separate actors. When Arthur insults the ladies at the bar, they storm away. If you watch Charles, he tries to hold on to one of them in hopes that they won't leave and looks visibly disappointed when they do. This is totally out of character for Charles, and here's the reason why. For the scene at the bar right before the fight, the motion capture for Charles was actually performed by Stephen J. Palmer, the actor who plays Bill Williamson. This often happened due to some of the cast members not always being available at all times to perform. The Spines of America. As previously stated, Hosea Matthews had left camp to chase a lead at the nearby Emerald Ranch. When Arthur joins him, we meet the ranch hand, Seamus. Seamus has an issue with trusting outsiders, so we are tasked with performing the robbery of a stagecoach from a rival of his, Bob Crawford, which also happens to be a relative of Seamus's wife. This mission can be performed in a manner of ways, all with different outcomes, but one that players may have missed is what happens if you decide to ignore Hosea's plans of sneaking into the home and just charge in all guns blazing. After doing this, when they grab the stagecoach, there's an NPC interaction following their escape that a lot of people may have missed. It occurs as follows.
Hey! Shit, there's a man coming. Just play it cool. He might not know the situation here. We must be able to go faster
nothing to do
than
with this.
You goddamn monster!
Damn it, he's going for the law. Do something.
Yep.
Well, I guess he can't tell the law now.
Money lending and other sins. The gang's loan shark, Herr Strauss, has already begun work offering some of the locals loans with exorbitant rates. He preys on the desperate, people who have nothing. When speaking with Arthur, he gives him a list of names whom he's to collect the debts from. After completing at least one of these retrievals, Arthur returns to camp to learn that there's one more debtor, a man named Thomas Downs. We met Thomas previously, as he was the one to separate the fight between Arthur and Tommy. What some may have missed is that at the mere mention of the Thomas Downs name, Arthur immediately knows who he is, although he had no way of knowing the man's name previously. This is possibly a developer oversight, or potentially some cut content.
Good, very good.
My pleasure.
Well, if it's pleasure you're after, there is one other. This farmer preacher fellow I met in Valentine, Mr. Downs.
The opinionated little do-gooder? Yeah, I know the one. I certainly know the type.
Thank you.
A quiet time. After being sent ahead with Micah to scout between Horseshoe and Big Valley for Pinkertons on their tail, Lenny Summers returns to camp, both distraught and exhausted. He goes on to tell how Micah has been captured in the town of Strawberry for murder and is awaiting a hanging. Dutch tells Arthur to rescue Micah, but in the meantime to take Lenny into town for a couple of drinks to help him relax. When entering Smithfield's, the barkeep sternly tells Arthur he doesn't want any more trouble, and that Tommy is in a bad way after their fight earlier in the game. The pair overdo it and wind up completely out of it in this very fun mission. In one moment, when Arthur is pretty intoxicated, he loses track of Lenny somewhere in the saloon and begins to ask the patrons if any of them have seen his friend. One of the customers you can interact with is, of course, Tommy himself, and the barkeeper's right when he said Tommy wasn't the same anymore.
Hey, buddy. Hey, no hard feelings, huh?
Paying a social call. The gang's prisoner, former O'Driscoll, Kieran Duffy, is tied to a tree and has been for some weeks now. Dutch decides that it's been long enough and now wants information as to the location of his rival, Colm O'Driscoll. After the threat of torture, Kieran finally gives up the information, stating that Colm is in a place called 6 Point Cabin. With Bill and John in tow, Arthur has Kieran lead them to the location and plans to prepare an ambush. The gang slowly edges towards the camp in a stealthy manner. Arthur gives instructions on how to approach each one before the final showdown. What some may not have noticed is that if Arthur instructs either John or Bill to perform a takedown, then chooses to act himself, the gang member will express annoyance at him.
He's yours, Williamson.
Okay. I got him.
We're here. We don't need nothing else from you.
I thought he was mine.
Change of plan. Move.
The first shall be the last. After the ferry heist, several gang members were either killed or captured. One of these was Sean Maguire, a cocky Irishman who you love to hate. We learn from Josiah Trelawney that Sean has been captured by a bounty hunter faction run by one Ike Skelding. Arthur, Josiah, Javier and Charles head down south to bring the boy back home. During the firefight, players will notice that Charles, up on the top of the cliff, is ensued in a one-to-one battle with a bounty hunter. What some may have missed is that after the hunter is killed, either by Arthur or Charles, if you inspect the body of the man, you can acquire the machete melee weapon from him very early in the game. Who is not without sin? The troubled preacher of the group is an addict, known as Reverend Orville Swanson. Swanson, due to his addictions, is constantly getting himself into hot water, not realising his actions when he's offending people. Arthur will find him in a heavily drunken state at the Flatneck train station just south of Horseshoe Overlook, playing a game of poker with a couple of the locals. After the Reverend passes out, Arthur is offered to take his place. Whether you decide to or not doesn't affect the outcome of the story. Swanson has quickly disappeared while Arthur was distracted, which leads us to chase him down. He's once again insulting the locals and in need of rescuing. After nearly getting himself killed on some train tracks, once again due to his intoxication, Arthur must bring him home. There's a small interaction that people may not have noticed, and it's that if you choose to fire your weapon when the Reverend has passed out on Arthur's horse, he will awake momentarily, startled by the loud bang.
What's happening? What's that?
Blessed are the meek. As Lenny stated earlier, during a quiet time, Micah has been captured and is being held in the local jail of Strawberry. Arthur must try and rescue him. There are multiple different ways to complete this mission, most of which I had shown in a previous video, but one that some may not have realised is that you can avoid all of these if you wish to save time and just head straight to the jail cell window instead. We loved once and true. After receiving a letter back at camp, we are soon introduced to an old flame of Arthur's, Mary Gillis. Mary is renting a room in the town of Valentine and wishes to speak with Arthur. After their conversation, Mary informs Arthur that she needs his help. Arthur is reluctant, as we learn that Mary and her family heavily disapprove of him due to his outlaw lifestyle, but they would still request his assistance. We are soon given a choice whether to help Mary or not. Interestingly, if we refuse to decide, our honour level will decide for us. If Arthur has positive honour, he will help, and if it's negative, he will refuse. On a quick side note, the scene will also play out slightly differently depending on whether Arthur is wearing a hat or not. An American pastoral scene. After rescuing Micah from the Strawberry Jail, he tells us of a small camp he set up in just outside of town. When we visit him there, Micah informs us of a stagecoach robbery he wants to do, and he needs Arthur's assistance. The pair go back and forth in a battle of words throughout this mission, but quickly bond together when they are ambushed by the O'Driscoll gang. After defeating the rivals, with the stagecoach now destroyed, Micah gives Arthur the honour of shooting open the lockbox to retrieve the goods. If you wait long enough and choose not to do this, Micah will become annoyed and shoot it himself.
Let's take what we can and get the hell out of here. That lock should shoot off easy enough. I'll give you the honors on account of, well, this little mess. I'm done wasting my breath on you. That should do it.
A fisher of men. Abigail Roberts pulls Arthur aside and asks him if he'll spend some time with their son Jack, as he's feeling a little down. Arthur agrees and takes Jack to a fishing spot nearby in what begins as a heartwarming quest. The nice moment is quickly spoiled when Pinkerton detectives Agent Milton and Ross confront the pair. Agent Milton, the leader of the two, gives Arthur an option to turn on the gang's leader, Dutch. Of course, Arthur refuses this. Milton's associate, Edgar Ross, states the following to young Jack.
Enjoy your fishing, kid, while you still can.
Players of the original Red Dead Redemption may recognise this, as it's a direct reference and foreshadow to some years later when Jack, now much older, confronts the same agent when he is out hunting ducks and puts an end to him right there. Pouring forth oil. While in Valentine, Mary Beth tells Arthur and Uncle about a potential train heist that can be encountered in an area south called Scarlet Meadows. John Marston later decides to go ahead with this and makes a plan. Before the robbery, the gang are going to need some things, such as weaponry, but more importantly, an oil wagon, which they will use to stop the train. John asks Arthur to retrieve the wagon, which can be found either here in Valentine or at the Cornwall Kerosene and Tar Factory. During this scene, Arthur makes fun of John, somewhat belittling him. If you take too long to obtain the oil wagon, there's a hidden scene that some may have missed, where John gets a little payback for Arthur's words.
You never got us that oil wagon, did you?
I'm sorry. I clean forgot.
Well, don't worry. It's taken care of. Otherwise, we'd miss that train.
Thank you.
You're still interested in the job, ain't you?
Yes, but, I think we'll need another man. I like Charles Smith for this kind of thing.
I'll get him. You meet us at the wagon when you can. There's an old burnout shack up near the border north of a place called Dewberry Creek. We stashed it there.
Thank you.
See, Arthur, even you make mistakes sometimes.
Sometimes.
The sheep and the goats. After the train robbery didn't go according to plan, John Marston has another idea. Arthur must meet John in the town of Valentine to hear him out. After a verbal altercation between the two, with Arthur still being angry at John for ditching the gang a while back, we finally learn that the plan here is to steal a flock of sheep from some hands travelling from Emerald Ranch to Valentine. Perched upon a cliff, Arthur uses his newly obtained scoped rifle to scare away the shepherds. When one, feeling brave, refuses to leave, John tells Arthur to fire another round near him so he'll get the message. If you choose to ignore this and directly shoot at the man, John will express his annoyance at you before continuing the mission as normal.
Looks like one of them don't scare too easy.
Put another shot in close. He'll get the message. Or ignore me and shoot right at him.
Worked, didn't it?
Another quick note on this mission is when Arthur and John deliver the sheep, the auctioneer instantly knows that the pair are rustlers. He knows this because if you closely inspect the sheep, you can see that they have the initials ER sprayed upon their coats, showing that they belonged to Emerald Ranch, and this auctioneer will no doubt already be aware of who the regular shepherds are from that area. A strange kindness. After things went badly in Valentine, the gang are forced to flee their camp, as the Pinkertons, funded by Leviticus Cornwall, are hot on their tails. Dutch tells Arthur that Micah has found a place called Dewberry Creek and wants him and Charles to go and check the area out. Upon arriving, the pair immediately don't like the look of the place, as it seems very exposed. When inspecting the area, they come across a German family and quickly learn that their father had been kidnapped by some men. Charles, with his good-natured heart, insists on helping the family and sets out to follow the trail. A little thing in this mission that some may have missed is that when travelling, every so often, Charles will stop to see if he can find the trail again. But as Arthur, if you use your eagle vision and locate the trail first, Charles will compliment him, as he is the one who taught him how to do so.
Just let me make sure this is right.
They continue on that trail ahead of us.
Good eyes, Arthur. Let's keep on them.
If you enjoyed today's video, you all know what to do. You've been listening to Phil of Philby Gaming. Do you have any mission facts that you feel some players may not be aware of? Feel free to share below using the comment section provided. Stay tuned to the channel for regular content on Red Dead Redemption 2, and be sure to enter our giveaway competitions that occur every month. You can always find details on both the channel's community page and over on my Instagram. That's @PhilbyGaming. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.